Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Purposeful Pathway Radio, a place to refresh and revise, a haven with insights and inspiration, a pathway graced with passion and purpose. Join the journey and hear remarkable real-life stories of others as they travel their purposeful pathways.
Welcome to Purposeful Pathway Radio. This is Caroline Gavin, your show host, founder of Purposeful Pathway Business Coaching, and also the author of Purposeful Pathway, Your Journey with Jesus. I invite you to join the Purposeful Pathway journey here on Blog Talk Radio each week and also on the website, purposefulpathway.com. Purposeful Pathway Radio is the haven for faith-based entrepreneurs. It is a journey in which faith and business gracefully intertwine. It is a pathway paved with purpose, peace, and passion. The guests on the show will share insights for faith-based business. They will also share inspiration from their spiritual journeys. My hope is that in listening, your businesses will grow and your lives will be enriched. My prayer is that these personal messages will allow God's peace, love, and joy to pave your purposeful pathways. I'm excited and I'm tremendously honored that John Freeborn will join the show today. John is a devoted Christian and he is an international award-winning business development and networking professional with more than 30 years experience. He has multi-industry sector experience on domestic and international projects. He has worked considerably with businesses on private and government contracts. He's provided lectures and training modules for domestic and international businesses, universities, trade organizations, and government agencies. John has traveled to 35 countries encompassing every major continent. Along the way, he has learned many business and social traditions that have expanded his understanding of a variety of cultures. He is a self-published author and has written 4 business-related books. All of his books are available at no cost. He offers his experience and knowledge freely so that others may benefit. John is an active member of Faith Church in St. Louis and has served on numerous not-for-profit boards in the region. John has 2 sons, 1 grandson, and is expecting his first granddaughter in July. And today he shares with us how to network for success and also for God's glory. So I want to warmly welcome you to the show, John. I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful that you're here with us today.
Thank you, Caroline. I feel blessed that I'm here to share this opportunity with you and the listeners, and I feel honored to be with you today.
Thank you. We have been speaking with one another for about a year now, and I have such a tremendous respect for what you do and the manner in which you do it. Your faith is evident and also your business acumen. So I know that I'm going to be enriched by what I hear today, and I know the listeners will be too. I know you have a presentation on networking, so I'd love for you to just start sharing that. And for the listeners, I think all of you will really be enriched by this, no matter what part of your business journey you're in, even if you don't have one and you're just thinking about it, or just in life in general. I believe this will enrich everybody listening.
Well, thank you, Caroline. And you know, you mentioned something about you. We've shared probably the last year off and on, back and forth in communications, and really time is such a precious gift to us. And I came up with an acronym for time, and basically it's time is the inequity of man's existence. Because time happens whether we do something or not. And the clock begins at birth, and it ends when our time on earth is complete. So we don't really manage time. We experience it. And if you think you're having a bad time or your time is up or whatever's going on, you really have to look at God's plan, because if you take poor Lazarus, who was, dead for 4 days, he really was brought back to life because God wasn't done with him. So no matter where you are in your life, don't ever think that God doesn't have some control over his mission for your good works in this world. And I believe so much that in our daily lives it would be foolish to think that God doesn't care about our 9-to-5 moments or whatever time we spend on the job. I know many of us, may pay 60, 70, 80 hours a week if you're doing your own business. But no faithful Christian can really put work life in one box and then spiritual commitment in another. I believe that many of our most challenging faith moments come on the job, at least I know they do with me, when we have to choose between what we know is right and what the world expects of us. But as Christians, I believe we can be successful in our faith and our work. The work world is also part of God's world, and He can rule over it if we allow Him to. I believe many times we try to compartmentalize our lives and believe that there's only certain things that we have control over. The truth is, God has control in everything we do. I also believe that God thinks highly of a good worker. He gives people the ability to do their work well. It becomes our choice to make the best of what we have committed to do as an employee, or in some cases as an employer. I believe many of us don't realize that our work is sacred to God. Imagine if every day you were crafting something for God's holy place. Would that make you feel differently about your job or the others that you may employ? From Exodus 31, verses 3 and 4, we find, "And I have filled them with the Spirit of God, in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship to devise cunning works." I believe this is an important message. Excuse me. Sinus issues here in St. Louis, imagine that. I think it's an important message for all of us that we were divinely created for purposeful work. And sometimes things do come easy to us. The work seems to go smoothly, and the reward seems even larger than we expected. We appear to be on a roll. But often I believe we forget the promises of our Father. In Joshua 24, verse 13, it reads, "And I have given you a land for which ye did not labor, and cities ye built not, and ye dwelleth in them." And for Deuteronomy 8, verses 18, "But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee the power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day." So no, it's not a roll, it's a time of blessing. Sometimes I feel that God just seems to let us have so much, we really wonder why He's doing it. Life seems wonderful, and we can enjoy it, but we can't forget all the blessings have a purpose. When we have bounty, we're blessed so that we may share. When we share, we're blessed because we're empowered to do good things. When we are empowered, we have a responsibility to our families, friends, business, community, and God. When we forget these things, we dishonor all that we are in the face of our Father. From Psalm 35, verse 27, we find, "Let them shout for joy and be glad, that they favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of His servant." So you really have to discover your purpose in life. Do you hate your job? Do you not enjoy what you do? Perhaps you're not doing what you're intended to do. Possibly you were never physically and emotionally designed to do whatever it is you're doing right now. Psalm 139, verses 14 to 15, we find, "I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret, and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth." So really to find out where I am in my life, I like to do what's called a SWOT analysis to evaluate how things are going. This is where I evaluate my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I prayerfully do this for my family life, business, and spiritual life to see where I am periodically. This helps me get some balance back in discovering my purpose and my priorities. I believe that God created all of us for a special purpose and has equipped us with the necessary tools and skills to carry out whatever He's designed for us. If you're not fulfilling His purpose, you may possibly be in the wrong job or place in your life. And when people are on the job, a lot of them are always wanting to be the boss, and possibly maybe many of you are your own boss right now. Well, you may believe this to be true. The truth is, we all work for someone, whether it's a client, partner, business, ourselves. There's always someone we're held accountable to. When we place our faith first and our trust in God, all things we do in His name, when we find our work is so much different, we wind up being blessed with confidence and understanding. From Colossians 3, verse 23, it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men. So I believe it's important for us to remember we're really working for God in all we do. Our desire should be to do all things that are pleasing in His sight. So what are the rewards from this? What kind of heavenly benefits do you think we should be looking for? Does this mean we should be expecting a reward for our works that isn't just your paycheck? Yes, absolutely. You didn't think that God would ask you to work for Him without giving you something in return, did you? How unlike our generous God would that be? In Ecclesiastes 5, verse 19, it says, every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God. So everything in our lives are really gifts, whether it's our labor and anything that you're doing. You have to remember that this is all part of a virtual, if you want to call it, universal team effort. Did you know that you're part of an amazing team right now? You're teamed up with God. It's true. You're part of a squad to bring His good works to this world. No one gets results alone. Everything you do is a team effort, no matter what your job or chore may be. In 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6, it says, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God made it grow. So team effort is the best way to get anything done. When you're working on a project without the help of others, I believe often we forget our Father is always with us. I was asked one time in a workshop to keep a journal of all the things I was grateful for the next week from our seminar. I immediately raised my hand. I said, I cannot possibly keep such a journal. I receive blessings all the time throughout my day. Even if I were to record such events, it would consume too much of my time. The seminar leader asked me to give an example. I said, sure. I was running late for this morning's event. All the traffic and the lights were in my favor as I got the best traffic lanes and all the green lights getting here. I knew back in the back of my mind that parking was going to be a nightmare. I was running late. However, somehow, I managed to get the best parking spot in front of the building. And it had been raining all the way down there, which was part of the problem with the traffic. And it stopped immediately when I had to get out of my car and go into the building. So I get in the building, and I realized I didn't know where the hall was. I didn't know where this event was held in. And there was a concierge there that helped me to the meeting. And I wanted to explain that was just this morning. And I made references to a couple other items, such as I actually got the best seat in the area because nobody wanted to sit close to the presentation, so I did. And believe it or not, I got the seat where the air conditioning wasn't, the dreaded air conditioner wasn't beating down on me, so I was comfortable. And I actually had an extra clean water glass on my table. Well, you kind of get the idea where I'm going with the story here. So what I'm getting at is, how's that for teamwork? Folks, I'm sorry, no matter what you might think, this is way beyond what people like to say random luck. God wanted me to be at that meeting and wanted me to learn, and also wanted me to help, convey whatever message I had for the team there. So I went on to explain how I'm grateful for so many things, that such a journal would be useless in my life. And I was excused from exercise, and, of course, then everybody else tried to follow on as well. So the important thing here is when you're working your career, you want to network for success. And I'm really going to get into networking now. So no matter what your age or position in life, at times you're going to need advice. So do you choose your counselor wisely right now? Do you follow their good advice? Or does pride get in your way? I've often found that humility requires courage. We assume people think poorly of us if we admit that we don't know all of the facts or the best way to get something done. But often the opposite is true. Humility has an appeal all to its own. Remember, too, that people may undervalue this general opinion quality, but God never will. Perhaps that's why He so often blesses the humble. I personally believe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, and yes, I did take that from a cartoon. I'm smart enough to surround myself with experts. But yeah, it's true. And I think most people don't get that. But I am smart enough to surround myself with experts that know much more about a specific subject or project in many cases than I do. I mean, I have all the answers, but I know how to get them, This is accomplished through humble but effective networking. My group of experts are my family, friends, pastors, colleagues, bankers, insurance agents, my auto service technician, and a dog groomer or two. And everybody that I talk to and everybody that I reach out to and everybody I do business with are all really part of my network, whether they like it or not. So I used to say it was my barber, but he's since passed away, and now I go to a Trender establishment these days. But I do get more compliments on my haircuts. From Matthew 18, verses 19 through 20, it reads, "And I say to you that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there I am in the middle of them." Now, how amazing is that? I mean, this is already letting you know that what networking and partnerships, how much they pay off. Because you go beyond yourself, you go beyond your team, and God has already said specifically He's there to champion that. And you take an oddball case, in the case of Esther, she was selected out of all these people to go to the king. And she knew not what to talk about. How do you approach a king? What do you talk to about the king? And what do you do in the king's presence? But in the book of Esther, we find when the turn came for Esther to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Haggai, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the harem, suggested. Because this is the man that knew what was going on. He knew all the traditions. He knew how to gain favor. And then it goes on to say, and Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. She was prepared because she didn't feel like she was lowering herself to go to the king's eunuch. So you can see that networking builds your strength as an individual, but it also can develop your strength as a professional. It provides you with strength in numbers and offers an opportunity to expand upon options you may not have explored or even begin to imagine. Now, some of you out there are very left-brained, and if you follow a more scientific principle of statistics, according to Pareto's theorem, or the 80-20 rule, believe it or not, you will achieve 80% of your results by using only 20% of your strengths. And you may say, well, how is that possible? Well, the fact is, God does the rest. So if you consider having just 5 people in your network, you will discover that just one of them may help you explode your potential beyond where you are today. And in today's business world, it's almost impossible not to network in one fashion or another. Social media forces some level of participation and compliance. I've discovered already that 20% of my network contributes to 80% of my success. I know God's doing the rest of the work. I tend to use Facebook for more of my personalized stuff, and I use LinkedIn for my professional updates. And I recommend, if you are in a profession of any kind, that you do establish a LinkedIn professional web page for yourself. This helps me also separate my personal and professional network to some extent between the Facebook and LinkedIn. Invariably, however, sometimes they do overlap because many people on Facebook are also professional associates that are also on LinkedIn. But we do keep the conversations segregated. Beyond social media, I engage in many networking and educational events within my profession, my church, and areas of interest. I've been very fortunate to enjoy some level of success whereby these days my participation in a networking event really is of a benefit for others. This allows me to use my Rolodex, and for those of you that don't know what that is, because I know that I'm dating myself a little bit here.
I do know what it is, so I guess I'm dating myself too.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't feel so embarrassed.
No.
But really, basically, that thing was just a card index holder that was in a big circle alphabetically, and now it's just in a big shoebox alphabetically because the Rolodex wasn't big enough. But what this does, this allows me to generate leads for other people, and oddly enough, the benefit for me is I often get more work from this by helping others connect, even though that wasn't my motive to look for more business. So interesting enough, much like the most successful namesakes, the Old and New Testaments, I've always found myself more grandly accepted out of my area, region, or country versus at home. And I've had times, and I believe on Facebook and possibly someplace on LinkedIn, you'll see pictures of me with dignitaries and ambassadors and presidents of countries. And I'm not telling you that to brag. I'm just letting you know that when Americans visit or travel abroad, they're treated differently than their own people. And I also have to believe that's also part of God's way of letting us know that, we have to be more than ourselves at times to be able to bring the message to the people we want to benefit the most, whether you're in a business relationship, a personal relationship, or a spiritual relationship. And I also liken that to the prophets and elders, whereby they were always well received by their enemies and people who did not know them. I guess it's the mystery of a new face from far away that catches a higher level of interest in what you have to say of offer. It's kind of like this radio presentation. Before this, you didn't know who I was. You knew nothing about me. And now you do. So you know there's someone out there who's really doing this, who's had a lot of success at doing what he does. And yes, it's all faith-based for me. And one of the things that I'm always careful of is my reputation. And I believe that building your reputation, developing any kind of network may seem difficult, but God says that a good reputation is valuable, more important than money. From Proverbs 22, verse 1, we read, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving father rather than silver or gold." I often believe that in today's world, God has a minority position or opinion in our lives. But this is, we have to realize that God's truth never changes. We know that even if the rest of the world doesn't mind ruining their reputations, we need to value ours. Now, reputations can come and go, good or bad. You can have your 15 seconds in World of Fame. So whether you've done something wrong or been the hero, that reputation usually passes in time. But by keeping faith in God's word for your life, all things are possible. He will reinstate your good reputation to serve his mission for your life. And if you're a person of your word, people may ask you about your job, your business, or your faith, or whatever. But over time, if you live a godly life, you experience the goodwill of others in all that matters in your life. The hassles or discouragement you receive in your life are often tests of your faith and honor to see what you really believe in. You will be challenged. People often say that I get more done with a handshake than a room full of lawyers. And one of these days I need to get that in writing because lawyers don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
When people know no, they don't, and it comes up so much, and I've done this not only domestically but also internationally, that my word is my bond and my handshake is all that's needed. And now I've done multi-million-dollar deals that way. And then, of course, later we have to tighten up contracts and things like that. But as far as getting the deal done, it's all about your word and reputation, what follows you. Because when people know that what you stand for, and see the results of your faith, they begin to respect you, trust you, and believe in what you have to say and what you do. They learn that you're a person of your word. You do what you promise, and they know you're an ethical and honest person. Even if they don't share your faith, they'll accept your good character. So God wants you to be successful. And it's important that you understand that success comes through all the works of God. It's not something that you do yourself. Every day if you ask, he'll give you the strength to go on and complete more than you ever expected. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean you won't have troubles, but you can go forward with energy and success. In Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, we read, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." If I'm going to share just a couple of quick acronyms with you today, it would be MOM and chaos, M-O-M and chaos, C-H-A-O-S. MOM has always meant to me manages others' messes. I believe that moms are best at this. And chaos stands for can't handle anything out of sequence or off schedule. I've always found moms to be the best multitaskers on the planet. And chaos is a reoccurring event that likes to mess with their lives. So the best networkers are moms. And if you need a hand at managing chaos, take a moment, and take a look at what you now manage and how best to turn chaos into opportunity through networking. And I'd like to give you 3 hints on networking. These are 3 things that I do all the time. First, identify people you want to spend more time with personally, professionally, and spiritually. Second, create a strategic plan to make it happen on a consistent basis. It could be folks in your everyday business and personal life that reach out and just want to help one another. Third, make your list of network candidates. Find ways to bring value to these relationships. Share first and often. Build your network of folks that can help make you smarter, better, more accountable, and overall a better person in general. This will help you keep your faith strong and true. In all things I do, in all things I receive, I give thanks for even the small, subtle events and kindness in my day. I constantly listen for the soft voice that guides me towards whatever it is I'm supposed to do or accomplish. Caroline and everyone who's listening, I want you to know that I'm totally blessed by your participation today because you are a true gift in our world. It's my sincerest hope and desire that my message to you may be of some value and benefit in your life and the lives of those that you touch. This opportunity to network you has been a great treasure for me, and I ask that your network bring you health, happiness, peace, and prosperity always with God's mercy and love.
Thank you so much. I know.
Gonna stick to it.
Absolutely. This has been a treasure for all of us listening. I have been taking notes and just savoring what you're sharing because it's very practical. It's very actionable. You gave us great action steps even at the end there, and all of what you shared is applicable to our businesses and to our lives, and it's all based on God's Word. So this is a wonderful fit for all who are listening because this is where faith and business intertwine, and networking is such a powerful part of life, powerful part of business, a powerful part of being part of God's kingdom. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this.
My sincerest pleasure. And really, I think you really touched on something that's very important is, this is God's kingdom that we're in, and it's a blessing that we're able to share this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're a part of God's kingdom, and we really have to remember that we're working for Him. You brought about that great point. And another thing, there's so many different points you brought up, but constantly you're talking about gratitude and how much more would we be blessed if we have that grateful heart constantly seeing those green lights in our day and the great seats in our day. I think you brought up a great example, and that's one of many that you shared.
Well, it's always an amazing story when I tell that. I've got hundreds of them. I did want to share that one because I think it was applicable to the story today. And most people don't realize that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you to do good or tell you to do bad or is giving you a subtle hint to do something, it's there for a reason. And you have the right to choose to accept or ignore God's voice. But whether the doors are locked or the doors are not locked, this gentle voice, this sweet voice is going to reach through to you anyway. And it's up to you to decide how to act upon it. And I believe that when you try to act on it alone, many times we get confused. And that's the reason to really have a strong network.
Absolutely. We can't be the specialist at everything. And you and I were talking before the show that it can be very tempting for entrepreneurs or business owners or just in life in general to be perfectionistic. We don't want to let go of what we're doing because we feel that we can do it best. And yet that's not a sustainable model, and it's not a way of allowing other people to bless your life and allowing yourself to bless their life. And it's not recognizing that what we're doing is really not about us. It's about God's kingdom. And I think that really helps us to let go of the perfectionism and allow other people to help us so that we can create the best that we have to offer for God's kingdom. So it's a great point. I really hope that everyone who's listening takes it to heart and starts working on those action steps right away.
I do too, because I believe that it's just little baby steps. If you just take one of these items that we've talked about today and really begin your journey towards strengthening your network, you've already got the best champion on your team, God. So realize that, God wants you to work with other people. And if you look throughout the Old Testament and New Testament, even with Jesus had 13 people working with him all the time. And he did that through networking. And he knew his time was going to end. And then when his time ended, he had these great people do what? Give us the best message that has been the best message that's ever been written and is still in writing today. So everything that we share that we have in the New Testament and the Old Testament, the Bible is still the best-selling book on the planet, and there's a reason for that, because the message is true.
Amen. Amen. And absolutely, Jesus is the best example of someone who enlists others, and we have our entire world that has been transformed by that. So I agree. It's a powerful message. I hope everyone takes that inspiration that they receive today and applies it, because that's how you really take that and allow it to be integrated into your life. So definitely apply those action steps. Listen to the recording again if you didn't write them down, so that you can really allow this information to become part of your life and allow networking to not only bless your business, but bless your life and bless those that are around you. Now, I wanted to share just a couple updates, and then I'm going to ask how people can get a hold of you going along with this theme of networking. And the first update is that I invite everyone to join me this Friday, the 26th. Ann Musico, the 3D Vitality Health Coach, and I, the Purposeful Pathway Business Coach, will come together to share strategies, insights, and inspiration for nurturing a healthy business, a healthy body, and a healthy life. So whether you're interested in boosting the bottom line or shrinking the waistline, you're going to enjoy this show. Join us live Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on Blog Talk Radio. And as always, if you can't join live, you can enjoy the archive at purposefulpathwayradio.com. And also, I want to remind you that a powerful complement to the journey that we take here on the radio show each week is the 7-week Journey to Joy, rich with scriptural insights, practical step-by-step guidance, and poetic inspiration. The Journey to Joy is a gift for me when you sign up for the free newsletter at howtolivejjoyfully.com. That's howtolivejjoyfully.com. And I encourage you to sign up now if you haven't already. And again, and as always, I thank you for joining the journey. So before we close, I want to ask, how can people find you so that they can bless their network in connecting with you?
The best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. I'm at www.linkedin.com/IN/John M. Freeborn. You can reach me by phone at 314-669-1213.
Excellent. I encourage everyone to reach out to John. He is truly someone that walks the talk and someone that really is a faith-based entrepreneur and shows the blessings that God bestows upon us when we do align ourselves with His Word, even when it's not easy. And again, John, I can't thank you enough for being here. I really would love to have you on the show again.
Well, thank you for the kind invitation. I would look forward to that.
Thank you so much. God bless you. And I pray also that God continues to bless all of our listeners. May you continue to enjoy your purposeful pathways.